first saw Andrew on September 6th.
I was over by the stage, tuning up my guitar, getting ready for worship at the Hub.
I remember walking into the Hub being so scared. It was the first Sunday that I attended their service, and a lady was showing me around, introducing me to everyone. I was meeting close to like 200 people. I couldn't remember names or faces worth anything.
I saw a good friend of mine pointing towards me with this girl right next to her who I thought was somebody completely different. And then when she turned around, she wasn't who I thought she was. She was this very beautiful girl wearing a very nice blue dress.
I remember walking into the main hall, her pointing at this one guy, and me just being like, oh yes, he is cute. I remember looking up at him, and he's got this red guitar, a white top, jeans, and black shoes, and I was like, he's cute.
I later found out that she was called Steph and that she was 23.
And then I found out he was 18, and that made it even more awkward because he was really young.
Okay, I've got no chance. So at that point I kind of gave up, but I knew that I wanted her to one day be my wife.
And I remember Rachel saying his name was Andrew, and he's really the only person I actually remember meeting that day.
My first impressions of Steph were actually fantastic. She came into the kitchen at the Hub where I was and just said, "Hey Andrew," and that's a rubbish impression, but that's how she said it. And at that point I knew that I wanted her because I love the way that she says my name.
My first impression of Andrew was that he was very kind. One thing about Andrew that's always stood out to me was the fact that he's always got this giant smile on his face. And he's always helping people and doing things for people. And so I didn't know if he was just being like really friendly to me and flirting with me, or if he was just like being nice, because that's just what he did. But he was just always kind, always smiley.
She's really energetic, and she didn't seem scared about talking to me and stuff like that, and I was just really happy to have her as my friend. I had a birthday party. It was my 18th birthday. I didn't have it in May because of exams, and then I went to Kenya and stuff like that.
He decided to have his party in like September or something stupid like that.
And I specifically invited Steph because I really wanted her to be there, because I wanted potentially for her to one day be my girlfriend.
And I remember him inviting me and me thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how to get there, I don't know where he lives, and I'm gonna get there, there's gonna be all these people there, and I don't know, I'm just not gonna go, I'm not gonna go. And I didn't end up going, and I remember sitting there the whole night just being like, I wonder what they're doing right now.
I was kind of sad, kind of spent the whole party hoping that she might turn up, unexpected, and she didn't, so it was pretty rubbish, to be honest. Steph gives probably the most mixed messages of anybody that I know. I mean, she was texting me constantly, but I had no idea, no indication if she actually liked me. One time she sent me a text saying, "No, I will not marry you." I thought it was a mistake to send it. I later found out that actually it was on purpose, just trying to test the waters there.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, on Paze, they have a first rule of no dating for the first year. So you can get to know people recreationally, but you cannot date them. And so I could not be like in any kind of relationship with anyone. And so that was kind of like a thing where I realized, okay, I can't really pursue this because I can't technically date him. So I'll just get to know him really well and then finish my year and go home and miss him forever.
But yeah, later on I told her that I had Crohn's disease.
He told me he has Crohn's.
Because I figured, well, I mean, once she knows that, she's got to know that. And once she knows that, she won't really be very interested in me. Because I was pretty convinced that nobody would be if I had Crohn's.
It didn't really affect me at all, because I've known people back in Texas that have Crohn's. But I just kind of said, yeah, that's cool. It didn't really matter to me, because I liked him no matter what.
For Christmas, I got Steph the best film that has ever actually been made,
which is Johnny English.
And it is my favorite film ever.
And he had also given me a taco stand because he knew my favorite food was tacos.
On January the 18th, I organized to go into her house
to have tacos and to watch Johnny English.
Steph spent the whole time looking at her phone. She did not watch that film, like, at all. So I was pretty convinced that she wasn't the girl for me at that point, because if she hates Johnny English, then I don't see how we could be together.
Andrew decided to stay a little bit longer.
I got Steph's laptop and we started to watch Jaws.
And I remember Andrew, like, getting closer and closer and closer and closer to me throughout the film.
And the screen was really, really, really small.
And I remember him saying it was just because the screen was too small.
you know, it was a little notepad thing. So I just got nice and close to her, and I think she took it maybe the wrong way.
But that really wasn't it.
You know, I was just snuggled up, just small screen, you know.
So on January 19th, Andrew came to pick me up to go see a film. And I remember that I was just like, no, we can't go see this film. We have to have a conversation. We can't just like awkwardly leave things where they are. I remember getting in the car and telling him, Andrew, we need to go talk.
And so I was a bit like, oh, okay. I assumed it was because we sat really close together watching Jaws.
And where do you go when you need to have a very serious talk?
I took her to a very romantic place.
So we went to McDonald's, and I remember sitting down, and he's just looking at me like this little lost puppy, just like freaking out, and he had no idea.
I wasn't quite sure if she felt the same as I did.
The poor thing.
So I didn't really want to tell her that I liked her, and then to get kind of shot down.
I remember just cutting straight to the point and saying, okay, how do you feel?
I kind of held it back a little bit.
And he was like,
And Steph was kind of prompting me a little bit.
do you like me? And he's like, as a friend or what? No, like, do you like me?
But in the end, I just told her that I did actually like her.
And he just kind of sat there and he said yes.
And at that point, Steph went absolutely silent.
And I remember just, okay, so I knew he did, but now I just heard it and I don't really know what to do with that.
For what felt like a lifetime.
So I remember just sitting there for the longest time, not saying anything, thinking, okay, this could go one of two ways. I could say I feel the same way, or I could just pretend like I don't feel the same way and just move on with my life because I need to go back to Texas, right?
In that time, I was able to just kind of think about many ways that I wanted to die.
But then I realized that I couldn't live without him because he means so much to me.
And eventually, she told me that she liked me as well.
He looked like he could breathe again, which was really, really funny. But that was a cool night. We talked about the boundaries that we were going to set up to make sure that this relationship was healthy and that it followed Pace's rules, but it was just a really cool night. It was like the first night of our lives starting together. So for the next 5.5 months until the Pace graduation, we decided to have this, we'll get to know each other through our families kind of thing. So he'd come over to my house, I'd go over to his house. We'd always spend time with other people around. But it was really cool because I got to know him on a really deep personal level, which obviously I hadn't known before.
So on July 5th, the 5.5 months of waiting were up, and I travelled over to Burnley to watch Steph graduate so that I could ask her to be my girlfriend. And I took her down into this kind of park kind of area. I didn't really know Burnley at all, but I knew that existed. So I took her down there, and we just stopped at this one point, and I just started talking to her. And I had decided actually for quite a while previous that I was going to tell her that I loved her, because I did, and I still do. And I said it. I told her that I love you. I hadn't even asked her to be my girlfriend at this point, but I told her that I loved her, and she just stared at me. For what felt like a lifetime, once again letting me slowly die and want the earth to just swallow me whole.
I wasn't expecting it, but then after maybe 5 minutes, I returned it,
Yeah,
which is good.
Took a long time,
Yeah.
and it hurt. But then I asked her to be my girlfriend after that, and she said yes pretty quickly to that, so I guess she'd already had that bit in mind.
And then we got to go to Texas. We got to go home and I got to see my friends and my family, introduce them to this phase. So then I came back 2.5 weeks later, but then I had a 2.5 week training for Pace. But also during that time, Andrew started getting really, really ill with his Crohn's.
Yeah, my Crohn's got quite bad. It got to the point where I was just constantly exhausted, couldn't really stand up very much. But then by the time that Steph got back, my breathing really started to get really, really bad. And I got taken into hospital shortly after that. And after quite a long time of trying to diagnose me, but not really succeeding in that, quite a really horrible time, I don't remember much of it, they diagnosed me with something called myocarditis, which is heart disease. And then following that, I had to go back into hospital for another period of time and was diagnosed with pericarditis, which is another heart disease. So I was really racking them up there, and that was a really hard time.
We got him back home from the hospital, but that didn't mean that life just resumed normal from that point. It actually meant that we were even more set in a box than we were before, because he wasn't able to go out and we weren't able to do things. And if we did, we were stuck in a wheelchair, and that was really hard.
Absolutely. We had to kind of find a new normal, looking for fun in different areas than we'd really had to before. You know, we used to go on walks and things like that, and that was great. But now it's just limited to, you know, what we could do in a wheelchair or kind of at home and stuff like that. But after a while, you know, we realised that God was in all of this, and really, a period of time, which was probably about 8 months, really just brought us closer together. But more than that, really brought us closer to God.
But then we had one incredible moment. We went for a heart scan, and the doctor said, guess what, guys? I don't see any problems here. Your heart is completely healed. There's no noticeable thing of it ever coming back.
Yeah.
And you can go out and do normal life now, which is absolutely amazing. From that point on, we've been able to increase the amount of things he's able to do, like walking upstairs, going on walks, just doing a normal day work. Everything that people take for granted, we could finally do them again. Let's do this life thing.